absolutely know that it's true, that this is a person that I would love to have in my lab. And you can't say that unless you really know the person. So that's an important thing to be thinking about.
This has to do with writing a thesis. So I'm in the honors program, and I'm thinking of writing a thesis, like my junior or senior year. And just the thought of it is just really overwhelming. And I guess I just have a question about, like, how do you come up with like a topic? How do you come up with the question? What's a good question? Who do you talk to? And I guess it makes me very nervous because I don't want to go to a professor and not have any clue of what I want to do, and I also don't want to sound dumb because I don't have all these brilliant ideas in my head. Like I'll take anything. If the professor gives me an idea, I'd rather take it than, because I'm not very creative. I don't have these brilliant ideas just popping up into my head. So, and also just writing the thesis. I don't know. It's scary.
So what kind of field do you think you're likely to do a thesis in?
I'm in program in the environment right now, that's my major. I'm minoring in chemistry, and later on in life, I hope to go to school of public health.
Okay, so you'd like to work on public health, environmental.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So, but I have. That's about it. Like right there.
So the way people do senior theses runs a very broad gamut across the different disciplines in LS&A. So what's typical in science theses is that you go to work in a lab, neuroscience lab, hearing lab, or whatever. You start working in that lab. You learn something about what they're doing. You do a bunch of work that's what they ask you to do that's part of their research for a while until you understand what's going on. And then you start to look around the boundaries of what this lab does for something that's maybe motivated by something you were thinking about in the lab, or maybe it's motivated by something they came up with. But a piece of research that hasn't been done, that they don't know the answers to, but they have some idea of how to go about. And maybe they have the right tools in the lab. You can do this. Because it's really easy to think of research questions you just can't do. Like, I really want to know what dark energy is. It's this real important thing in cosmology. But no one knows how to figure that out right now. So I could say I'm going to work on what dark energy is, but I'm not going to get the answer right now, so we'll work on other things. So anyway, the lab will give you lots of guidance in this. Some flexibility to choose your own question around the realm of what they do. You can't go like way off because they can't help you with that, right? So that wouldn't make sense. On the humanities side, what people do is they sit down with a bunch of other students interested in doing a thesis and, honest to God, invent the question from the beginning. Just like blue sky, anything you could think of, right? And it's just a really different environment that they're in. And then they look around for people who know something about that, who give them guidance about how they might go at addressing this question. But they do it a lot more independently than people in science disciplines do. Partly because you don't need the same kind of resources to answer a humanities question. You probably need some resources. You need access to archives, you need time, you might need financial support, whatever. But you don't need $1,000,000 pieces of equipment. And if you want to do a science question and needs $1 million of pieces of equipment, and you just come up with it on your own, forget it. It's not going to happen, right? So that's why you have to have this mix of interest and opportunity in your thesis. Environment lands kind of in the middle, right? Because there are people out there doing lots of different kinds of experiments about environmental impact and all kinds of stuff like that. And you may meet some faculty members whose research is interesting in that way. But there are also people coming up with projects that you really could do more or less on your own. We have a person writing a senior thesis on a public policy topic right now about what arguments senators make when they explain their votes on climate change issues. Right? So basically his research means downloading every newspaper comment that each of the 100 senators made during a particular time period about climate change, and then categorizing everything they say. Right? So you can just do that, right? You don't need like $1 million to do that. It's just a lot of work. So it could be your topic ends up being something like that. What you want to start doing is looking around at the universe of research that people are doing in the areas you're interested in. Because every thesis here is going to be, at least influenced by and connected to the faculty here. That doesn't draw a very tight box around what you might do. Because this is a huge place and people do everything here, right? But you need to start to understand, among the people who are connected to the program and the environment, what kinds of things do they do and which ones interest you? A few of them you'll run into from classes, right? If you take a class with somebody, you learn about their research. But only a couple. I mean, really just a few. So you have to spend some time on the web pages. You have to go to the programs you're interested in and talk to the concentration advisors about what kinds of research are done in the program, about which kinds of people really work well with undergraduates and stuff like that. And then you got to pick an opportunity that looks exciting and interesting to you and go after it. So you're not on your own on this. Nobody expects you to totally do it alone. But it is way beyond what you do in class. What you do in class, everybody tells you what to do. You just do it, right? That's not going to happen with a thesis. Nobody's going to make you. So that's why it's a good process. And that's why it's so valued by everybody who does it, but also by the people who will be in your next step. When they go to graduate school or whatever. They're going to see you did a kind of project, and they're going to know already. You won't be starting that in graduate school, because otherwise you're going to get to grad school and have to do that for the first time. That's even talk to people a lot. That's a main piece of advice.
That's a good question.
I'd say the other piece of advice is do a lot of research talking with people doing senior theses in the area you're interested in, especially if it's science. And because there's only so much information you can get from the webpage, but what you get from other people is, this guy is really a pain in my ass, or this guy is,
They never meet with me.
Yeah, they never meet with me. This guy meets with me all the time and gives me help when I need it. He lets me do what I need to do, and when I have a question, he's available. That kind of stuff. Because it can be really unpleasant if you have the greatest question in the world and something that you can even feasibly do, but you can't get the help that you need with it, either from someone more senior in the lab or the principal investigator in the lab.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice, and in fact, we should probably do more in the honors program too. I don't know, maybe we could even circulate a list of the names of all the people who are doing theses in different programs, and you probably know some of them, you just don't know they're doing this, right? The number of people doing theses is going up, I'm happy to say. Over the last 2 years, it's gone up about 25%. So there will be, at this May's graduation, about 350 people who complete theses, which is still well under 10% of college, but it's a good number.
Any more questions from the students? Well, if there are no more specific questions, we can say that you guys are free to go, but we can continue and have individual conversations with each of the 3 panelists. So
if you like, we can stay for a little more.
Yeah. So it officially ends at 9, and so we have roughly half an hour left. So you're free to go, but if you want to ask more questions, they're here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
It was a good discussion.
Good luck with the rest of your term. And you should either eat the food or take it home.
Yes.
Yeah.